Your final essay for this class, and this is all the work for this week, is for you to write at least 1,000-word essay that demonstrates to me that your ability to do the following: to describe your topic in a general way, in a concrete way, give some examples of the type of thing that you've been researching, define any important terms you need to define, but then up front, after you do this, make sure that you introduced a focused topic, a very particular thing you're looking at within the general topic. And then after you do this, I want you to actually, in one sentence, write out the big point you're going to try to make about this focused approach, this focused topic, this subtopic, this very particular thing you've been looking at. In one sentence, tell me what it is you're trying to prove. You're going to try to support or argue. And I would like to see this prefixed by these words. My thesis for this essay is, and then write it out. And do it in one sentence and make sure that it's making a claim about something, and that it could be true or false. Now you're going to try to show that it's true. Your thesis is true. So after you do that, you got to ask yourself, now what must I write in order to get a reader who knows little about this to the point where he or she is going to remember my thesis and say, you know, I understand it now, and I think I see how it's a possibility. That one point this author's trying to make, I see how it's a possibility, and how I see how, given, you know, if these facts are true that this author is supplying in this essay, then I guess it's even a probability. You know, if you can get your reader to that point at the end of your essay where you know, if you imagine yourself as a reader, if you can see how you would get there, then you've done your job for that research essay. So I want you to think, now this is for College Writing 1, it's just going to be 1,000 words. This is not a, you know, any sort of developed research paper. I understand that, and I want you to understand that. I do that sort of thing in College Writing too. We get a little more intense into this. But my purpose in this class was to get you to see just the general format of a paper, not just with documentation and citation styles, but the very basic organization pattern that it should have. And I also wanted to impress upon you the need to do a lot of pre-reading. In other words, just reading before you even begin to write, before you even think of a thesis. Just read about your topic. Read in various formats, from various sources. Read. So, you know, if you've done all that, and now's the time for you to use anything and everything that you've learned in this class to make this essay. Now, it has to be at least 1,000 words, but I welcome it if it goes longer than that. If you just give me like 1,001 words, you know, I'm beginning to suspect that you're stretching to get there, right? If you give me, you know, 15,000 words, then I'm beginning to suspect you don't know when to stop, and that it's full of repetition and redundancy. So, you know, go for like 1,500. But, you know, I'll grade it if it's at least 1,000 words. And in these 1,000 words, show me, you know. I mean, with the punctuation material that we covered at the beginning, with your citation skills, putting in quotations, knowing how to do that correctly, quoting and citing the books right, or the journal sources or whatnot, getting that right. Let's do this in APA style. I'm going to make sure that I have that up. But in your instructions in APA style, you're getting that right. And you know, that you can provide definitions if you need to provide a definition, that you can draw out a pattern if you need to draw out a pattern, that you can provide a good summary if you need to do a good summary. You remember levels 1 and 2 critiques. You know, so much of what in my mind, okay, and this might be just a teacher trying to evaluate his own works, and of course I'm going to give myself a nice evaluation, okay, that's just human nature, but in my mind, everything that I've you know, asked you to do in this long work time that we've had together has had a part has its place in the puzzle or in your toolbox. That's a better analogy. It's one tool that goes into your toolbox, and now I want you to open up that toolbox and use whatever you can to make this really a nice piece of work. Okay, so of course make sure you're proofing your work and checking the spelling and that sort of thing. All right, but as far as the content goes, I need you again to give me your topic up front. You can introduce it generally, and then but then sure by the time be sure by the time you're done with that topic section, I have an idea of that specific focus that you had on something. And then after that, I need you to provide a thesis statement where you say, now look, this is the point I'm going to try to make. And remember, the thesis has to be such that it's not self-obvious, it's not self-evident, it's not something that's already commonly accepted. Don't try to prove to me that most scientists think smoking produces lung cancer. It seems to me that that's already been established, at least as a probability. Don't, again, something like global warming is happening right now. Well, a lot of people are going to already, and you can get the data to do that, and that sort of argument has already been done. Now, whether it's true or not is something else. The argument itself has already been done. So you've got to have that element of, I'm really looking at something very specific here, and no one has said this exactly like I'm going to say it or observed the exact same thing I'm observing. Okay, that's your thesis. And then after you do that, after you make very sure that your reader knows what your thesis is, and again, please use the language when you come to writing it down for the first time. Right, my thesis is, and then just write it out. Now, if you have to reword it after that, fine. Give it to your reader twice. If you have to define a term or give an example or really, really make sure that it's clear, whatever your thesis is, do it. That's great. That would be like your thesis section, okay? Then after that, you come to the core. The core is where you say, now, how am I going to actually support this thesis? I have some readers following me now. Think to yourself, okay? I have some readers following now. I've got about 15 minutes with them. What do I have to do to get them from where they are now, which is probably they don't know much about this, to where I want them to be at the end, and that is understanding my thesis and agreeing with it. So what sort of facts or data or definitions or logic do I have to hit them with first? And then after they get that, what can I give them second? What comes second? Then what bunch of data, what support, what quotes, what charts, what data, what definitions, whatever. What comes after that? And think in terms of steps, teaching somebody. Step by step by step by step. You can't just throw it all at once, right? You got to organize it. But that's where you provide your data down there, and I expect to see some quotations, some reference, obviously some reference to other works. To not. Hopefully, you've never found a single work that says what you're trying to say. But when you try to use data to support your, to make clear your supporting points, yeah, refer to documentation. All right, to sources out there. And then, once you finish that, you got to think of some way to close it. Maybe with a question, maybe with an application, maybe with advice, maybe with, well, you figure it out, okay? Now, I understand this is College Writing 1. I'm not looking for jewels or professional pieces, but I do need to see enough to convince me that you really did learn a bit in this class and you worked your way through it, and that you've been doing the reading and doing the work from last week. So if you've been doing all that, you can pull from that information. For example, I think last week I asked you to write a topic and thesis paragraph. Use that here. Use that here. Revise it a little bit, maybe condense it, whatnot. Use it here. Though, use that past work. Bring it in. So this is sort of like your final exam, and I just want you to understand that as an exam, I can't spell out everything for you. I can't give you like 15 steps of instruction or direction. Part of the exam is, look, if I just give you this challenge, can you do it? And so with what you read in the actual written instructions and what you are hearing here in the video and seeing, let's see what you can do. All right. And to take the pressure off a little bit, this is 3-letter grades, 12 points. Many of you have earned 80, 90, 100 points in this class. And if you are already averaging, an a decent job on this will be fine for you. All right. So if you are averaging an A overall or a B, and then for some reason you get like a lower grade on this one, it's just 12 points, okay? Do your best, but remember that, well, as you know and I know, you have 5 days, and you have other classes and other obligations, so I'm realistic with that too. But let me just see what you've done with 1,000 words, and good luck to you. All right. Make sure you turn it in before Friday so that I have a chance to grade it before the deadline that I have as a teacher to submit your grades.